It's been an unexpected struggle so far for the Washington Capitals, who find themselves at the bottom of the Metro Division standings. Dan Holmi of Locked On Capitals joined us to discuss the problem and how to possibly solve it. All that and more next on today's Locked On NHL podcast.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Gil Martin here. Welcome, everybody, to the Monday edition of the Locked On NHL podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On NHL your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Also, a big thank you to everyone who helped make the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcasting network in the country. My pleasure right now to welcome back to the show the host of Locked On Capitals, Dan Holmi. And Dan, a bit of a struggle for the Caps this year. The good news is they're at NHL 500. The bad news is that puts them at last place in the Metro. What has surprised you about the start to this season so far?
Well, I mean, it's the problem, right? That Chris Patrick, the GM from the Capitals, thought they could run it back with the same team. It's been interesting, isn't it, that there was only some minor subtractions. I'm talking Andrew Mangiapane and Taylor Radish, and they played a small part of last year's success. So I think on paper I understood the thought process of Chris Patrick, but what isn't working is that the players last year that put up career numbers are not doing that this year. And you have Alex Ovechkin, 5 goals so far, last year putting up 44 goals, that, you think to yourself, at some point, someone's got to flip the switch and it's going to kick in. My fear is, when is that going to happen? What's going to change? We've seen the biggest problem is on special teams, talking power play, that thing in particular, that they are kind of, I think, caught up in their own head at this point, that, they're playing some poor hockey. And I think that at some point when things start clicking, that I think that, it'll just be like, wow, remember that time we lost a bunch of games? Because Spencer Carberry, Jack Adams winner last year, he knows what he's doing. It's just the players buying into the system, and hopefully they catch fire here soon.
Do you think they're maybe squeezing their sticks a little too tightly on the power play because they're struggling to also score 5-on-5?
Absolutely. I think that's the case. And I think that, oftentimes when you struggle, to your point, you're saying all of a sudden you start gripping that stick tighter. You start thinking about it too much. And, you're starting to see some of the players, like Tom Wilson, putting up big goals, but even him and other players are struggling. And, the young additions, Ryan Leonard, for example, back-to-back 30-goal seasons for Boston College has got off to a bit of a slow start. That, I think that this team is still trying to find consistency. And I'm sure we'll talk about it a bit later, but, some big subtractions from this team as well. Pierre-Luc Dubois, is going to be out for 3 to 4 months. And trying to find chemistry within the lines has been difficult. You've seen Spencer Carberry try to patch it together throughout the games. But as of right now, you take a look at the last game against the Devils, it went to the shootout. They don't have that specialist like they did before with Kuznetsov or Oshie that, they definitely need to, address that situation, but also scoring, like you said, 5-on-5 and the power play.
You mentioned Alex Ovechkin. He's got 5 goals in 18 games, still getting shots on goal. Is he not getting as many good opportunities? Is he just not finishing? What's going on with Ovi?
I think it is. It's just not finishing. And I know that he is a bit snake bitten. And, we have seen his minutes reduced a little bit from what we've seen in years past. And, the thing of it is we've seen, some growth in that regard. But I think the biggest thing, maybe not right now, but to start the season was that he was injured, when camp first started. And I think that he was, taken back a little bit, 40 years old. which isn't too old to me or you, but in hockey terms, that's a bit up there, 21 seasons in the league, that I think it took a while for him to get going. And I think Alex Ovechkin, like a lot of the other players, that, when they're not getting the production that they're looking for, they can get caught up in their head. But, I think what we've seen from Ovi this year, I'm thinking in particular the last game, when he was setting up Connor McMichael on that goal, is that he's trying to diversify his game. He's not that one-trick pony that sets up at the left dot that's predictable, that he's trying to shake up the snow globe to make the netminder think. So the thing I like about Alex Ovechkin, of course, he's known for his goal scoring, but when he's not scoring goals, he's contributing in other ways, assists, and also the leadership that being the captain brings.
Got to talk about Logan Thompson. He's off to an outstanding start. What has been the difference in his game so far this season, and where would this team be without him?
The silver lining of the season, to be sure, is Logan Thompson. And the thing of it is when you take a look at it, you hear this in the interviews, and, kind of the theme of this segment is going to be head games, is that the Capitals play more confidently when Logan Thompson is in net. And I think the feeling is that if they cough up the puck, if there's a gaffe in the defense, that Logan Thompson's good. We made a mistake, but we got LT back there. And that's not to say anything disparagingly of Charlie Lindgren, but we have not seen the best version of Chucky. So to have a guy like Logan Thompson, a guy that doesn't want to get any love from Team Canada, but has been the saving grace of this team. But, for all the everydayers of Locked On Capitals, like I talked about, Logan Thompson can't do it all, right? He can't score the goals. He can't go out there and be a defender. He is between the pipes, and he does what he can do. So I think that Logan Thompson is taking the lead. I hope the rest of the team follows in that, because, even take a look at Thompson last year. Make no mistake about it, is what put the Capitals in the position, winning the Metro, winning the Eastern Conference, that there was some real question about did he get lucky last year? Right. And I think that it is reassuring to Logan Thompson. It's reassuring to the fans and the organization that he's still able to put up, a good performance in his second year. And hopefully, that when the Capitals do catch fire offensively, that he will still be dialed in.
What does this team need to do now to be better and get back into the race in the Metro Division?
So it's one of the things, and, all roads lead through the GM, and Chris Patrick did not make the big move last summer. There was talk about Nikolai Ehlers. There was Jack Roslovic, these kind of players. And ultimately the Capitals did not want to give up what was required, whether it was money, whether it was, trading an asset, a draft pick, etc. And they're in the position that they're in, and they were hoping, like I said earlier, that they could run it back with this same team. What do the Capitals need to do? They need to go out and make a big acquisition. I think that potentially, if there is some reluctancy, which I think there is, that they could try some options down in Hershey, especially in the center position, like I said, Pierre-Luc Dubois being out for 3 to 4 months, that maybe a guy like Alexei Protas's younger brother would be a good option. And if that doesn't work, then I would go outside of the organization and try to make a trade to see if there's something out there, because there are options out there at the center position that I've talked about, some of them more attainable than others. But I think that's what it's going to come down to. One of the names that I kind of circle back to is a guy like Ryan O'Reilly, replaces Dubois' two-way matchup and defensive minutes and stabilizes the lineup immediately. That's just one name off the top of my head that I think would be an intriguing name to plug that hole, because, I think that Spencer Carberry has done what he can do. He's tried to move, players in different positions and different line combos. And if that doesn't work, I'm not ready to give up on the 25-26 season, that he's going to have to go out and make that big acquisition, that big trade.
All right. Well, Dan, why don't you tell our viewers and our listeners where they can find the podcast and where they can find you on social media?
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter. It's at DanCaps218. You can find the show on Twitter. It's at Locked On Caps, of course, on YouTube or wherever you find your podcasts.
All right, Dan, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Hockey season is officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be real. Getting tickets can be a total headache between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout. It's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. That's where Game Time comes in. It's the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NHL tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. I love that what you see is what you pay. There are no hidden fees at checkout, and their zone deals are a game changer. You pick the section, Game Time picks your seats, and you save big. You could even find NHL tickets for under $25. So take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Game Time.